Ladies and gentlemen, children all, this is yet another edition of the video podcast from Medan's production, which brings the stories, experiences of everyday people and even celebrities alike. Today, we have a guest, a special guest. He is an educationist. He is a community leader. He is a politician. He loves culture. And he is somebody we learn a lot from. Without much ado, let me introduce to you our guest for this episode. It's another person than Mr. Augustine T. Marah. I welcome you to this podcast.
Thank you. Hello to everyone.
Having heard about all the articulations I gave about this fine gentleman who hails from West Africa, Sierra Leone, the guest, the viewers will want to know, who is Augustine T. Marah? Let me hear about you. They want to know who you are.
Thank you, Mr. Ofield. My name is Augustine Toto Marah. I was born and raised in Koinadugu, specifically from Cabala, and grew up, went to elementary school at RC School, Roman Catholic Primary School in Cabala, and then to Cabala Secondary School. Graduated from high school in 1972 and went to Milton Magai Teachers College. But prior to going to college, I got a job as an elementary school teacher in the same elementary school I attended. So I always say it's like I was chosen by the profession. But I went to Milton Magai after teaching at RC School for 2 years. And then in 1974, I went to Milton Magai Teachers College to do French and history. And I finished in 1978. But in between, I had opportunities to go to Togo on 3 Commonwealth scholarships in the summer for French immersion, and also had the opportunity, the privilege of getting a French scholarship to go to France, and stayed in Dijon for 1 year. And that's where, I can say I polished my French. And then after that, I came back to Sierra Leone and finished my HTC Higher Teacher Certificate at Milton Magai Teachers College. And then eventually went to teach at Boys, Maburaka Secondary School for Boys, MSSB, in 1978. And then, of course, I also, after 2 years, 2.5 years in Boys Secondary School, I had the opportunity to come to Canada as a student, as an international student. So that's the first part of the first leg of my work as a teacher in elementary school in my country.
Thank you, Mr. Marah. Thank you. Let me ask something, because having heard the name Cabala, I'm touched by that, because one of my mentors, I think is the second newspaper I worked for, was owned by a Cabala indigene by the name of Fode Bikande. You would have known that name. He is one of my mentors, because for them, they started grooming me up in journalism. I worked for his newspaper, but he would always, he was trying to cajole me to visit Cabala. He told me about the beautiful Wawara Mountains, the hills in Cabala, and how visitors from out of the country will come for a special, I think it was New Year's, where people will go celebrate. But one thing which we had some difficulties with, some mornings especially, there were vehicles coming from Cabala with fresh lafidi. Lafidi is food they make. And the lorries will come, they travel overnight, and then Mr. Kanda will tell me, Daniel, come and have a taste. It's Mr. Kanda, me unable to eat, you know. So tell us a little bit about Cabala.
Oh, well, Cabala is one of the most friendly cities in the country. Like the chiefdom of where I was born is called Warawara Yagala Chiefdom, So we have two chiefdoms in Cabala. One is called Sengbe, which is a Kuranko chiefdom, and they are in one part of the city called Yogomaya, okay? But the whole city of Cabala and the area the seat of Warawara Galagbaoria is actually, they belongs to the city, Gauria, or the rest of the city belongs to Warawara Gala. And historically speaking, Yogomaya was a place that was temporarily leased or rented to the Kurankos when taxes were being paid. The paramount chief in Warawara told the gentleman to keep the taxes and he can come and settle in Yogomaya. Eventually, these people are now the owners of Yogomaya. Now, and to be very frank, they are very, very hardworking people, the people who live in Yogomaya. So most of the beautiful houses are there. But of course, I'm not saying we don't have nice houses where we live. But because a lot of the people in Yogomaya are business people, and they have a lot of business-minded people with a lot of very smart young kids, and a lot of them are Fulanis who are very hardworking people.
So what was so attractive about these mountains? The people go visit all the time?
Okay, yes, that's a very important one. In fact, even when I was in elementary school, our older brothers, they would leave college, in the summer, especially on Christmas.
Yeah.
We would go up the mountain. It's a very long hill. Unfortunately, one of our politicians who was with in the government of Ernest Bai Koroma, is a very honest gentleman who studied to become a priest, but who was advised to join politics. A very good, very honest human being.
Yeah.
And he was with Ernest Bai Koroma, and at a certain point, he was a minister of something I can't remember, but he changed parties and then joined the SLPP. Okay. So, but prior to joining the SLPP, he was NGC. But when Madabio asked him to come on board, he joined Madabio. So he prepared the hill with steps. So now it's easier for people to go up the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very entrepreneurial gentleman. Mm-hmm. He even has a hotel in Cabala, and then a hotel in his own village, which is called Yataya. And sometimes we used to go to Yataya. There was a river, and there is still a river running through, not through the city, but by the city, and we will go and picnic at the river with very large green forest, beautiful, and we had police officers coming with us, and it was very interesting. So we, as young men coming from Furabe College or Milton Magai or Injela, we had fun, having parties with, very important personalities.
I know what you're driving at. Okay. There is another man who I interviewed a couple of times when he was also government minister during the Momo regime. And that person is in the US now, Dr. Yembe Mantari. Very friendly. I think he visited during the wedding of during my nephew's wedding.
Yes.
And he was there. And I heard himself, and Prince's dad, you guys were exchanging views in French. And your French was so polished. All three of you, Dr. Yembe Mansari, Prince's dad, and yourself.
Well, Dr. Yembe is a cousin of mine. Actually, I invited him for my niece's wedding.
Okay.
At that time, of course, I had already, I was on my own. So I invited him to come and live with us at Christiana and Francis' house. Yeah, we communicate not every day, but we talk very often. We exchange a lot of messages, especially about our language. I'm very fanatic about our own language, so I speak my language better than a lot of the young people do. Wow. So yeah, Dr. Yembe is a very good, person.
Yeah.
Yes.
These people are blessed with people who are bilinguals, because even my former boss, Fode Kande, spoke several languages, including French. So I believe that is how some people from Cabala, I wouldn't say all, you guys are gifted with languages. We are going to the second part of it.
Okay,
you mentioned...
So I wanted to say something about why we are very friendly in Cabala, because the people in the Cabala town are people from every part of Sierra Leone. We have Timnis, Mendes, Kurankos, Yelunkas. So most of us grew up in a very multilingual environment. So many people from Cabala can speak Limba, Mandingo, Susu.
Okay.
Of course, I used to know a little bit of Kuranko and Mandingo, but I have forgotten a lot of it, having lived away for so long. Yeah, so our people are very friendly, and we have a lot of intermarriages, in Cabala. Mostly, like there are politicians, I don't want to call the names now, that were district officers in Sierra Leone, in Cabala, and they are older now, and I knew them when they were really young, and they're very strong, and I know some of them have retired, but they come from the south or southeast of Sierra Leone.
Mr. Marah, you left Sierra Leone very long time ago, I believe during the days of the Grand Old Papa Shaki.
Yes.
What do you remember of that short time? Because I heard you say something about the OAU.
Yes,
where you made some money.
I was fortunate since when I was teaching in Cabala Secondary School, at Mabuaka Secondary School for boys. The OAU, came on in 1980 when it was held in Freetown.
Yeah.
And as a French teacher, the government recruited all the French teachers in the country, and we know each other, even students who were going to Furabe College and Mitimagai. We went on the same scholarships to Togo and to France. Okay, so we knew each other. When the OAU came, we were recruited as liaison officers. Believe it or not, I still have my ID card as a liaison officer representing Sierra Leone, the government of Sierra Leone. I was with the High Commissioner of Togo.
Yeah.
I actually asked for that because I enjoyed my trips to Togo.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, and many other people went to different countries. I think by that time we only had 52 independent countries. So we had as many as 52 French teachers representing our country.
So at that time, I want to believe you made lots of money.
We made money. I can't say lots of money, but I think it wasn't so much the money as the privilege of being, driving with in the Benzes with
the powers that be.
With the powers that be, and then enter the OAU plenary sessions with them, and then you're standing by them when the session is going on. Of course, they had official interpreters. We were not interpreting, but off their meetings, we will be the ones to interpret, to talk about things that were important on behalf of our country. So it was a privilege.
Let's come to another part. Now, you left Sierra Leone some 43 years ago.
Yes.
I want to believe at that point in time, when you left Sierra Leone for Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you arrived in Canada, there may have been challenges.
Oh, yes, there were challenges. Mm-hmm. The weather was one of the biggest challenges.
I've not landed yet.
Okay.
There would have been challenges, which maybe had to do with the weather. Being number one, culture shock, the food, and all of those. Could you just touch on some of those?
Now I can say for me, personally, fortunately I didn't have much culture shock because I had been exposed already. I had been to Europe.
I love that.
And I don't want to say what my environments were that made me become very comfortable. When I came here, the weather was the most difficult thing that I could deal with because in the summer, believe it or not, I didn't know that it would be sunny, and yet, or in the winter, even if it were sunny outside, you think, oh, I'm coming from a tropical country, so you wear a t-shirt. So you go outside, and in less than 5 minutes, you are cold. So you have to run back inside and get your jacket. Because you cannot reconcile cold with sun together.
Nice.
When you come here, because all you can think of is, you see the sun, it's hot. But no, when you come here, it is so surprising that you cannot be outside for more than 10 minutes without having a jacket, even when the sun is up. So that was a very big culture shock. And then in terms of work, that was another challenge. We didn't have work permits when we came as international students. In fact, they gave us a number. Our social insurance number started with 905. If you go to apply for a job with that 905, they will tell you, go away. No, don't put me into trouble. Don't come here. But I was fortunate because I had done 4 years of education, post-secondary education. I was fortunate and being very bilingual. Okay. When I came to the UOV, I just did 2 years to get my undergraduate degree. And because of my fluency in French, I got a job after I did my Bachelor of Arts. I was going to go into law school, but realized I would not have the money to pay. And So I applied to go to either educational administration. I was accepted in 2 departments, in Romance languages and then ed admin. So I chose to go to Romance languages because they had a teaching position. In ed admin, they had a position, but they didn't have the money to give me as a research student. So I chose to be a teacher. So I taught for 3 years at the U of A as a teaching assistant, but I was teaching first year university French.
How do you say something like Romance? What do you mean? The
department was called Romance languages. Okay. They had French, Italian, and things now like that. Yes.
Now I see. Once again, folks, you listen to Our Life's Negatives, powered by Medan Productions, wherein we tell everyday story, the lives and experiences of everyday people, and even those celebrities. We can talk about you too. Mr. Marah, let me ask something here. You didn't have at that time no problems with like being no racial stuff, because I want to believe at the time you came here, how was the black population here?
Okay. We were very, very few. You see, racism occurs at certain places, depending on where you are. If you are with people like in the university, if you are in university already, your colleagues are very well educated. Some of them have traveled and they have open minds.
Yeah.
They know you are as smart as them or smarter, so they won't be racist against you. Okay. But when you go down and, work in areas where there are not educated people or not very educated people who have never traveled. Of course, I landed in Edmonton. I stayed in Camrose for 6 months. There were times I would stand on the road, somebody would throw a bottle at you, when they are passing.
Okay.
But you don't care about that. You just ignore them. But in the university and the areas where I worked, I never really experienced racism directly. Not at all. So, but life was still tough because we were so few. We knew everybody's name, all the black people. We knew each other by name, including the Caribbeans. Okay. Like today, I am still friends with all the Caribbeans, who are here. Some who know, those of us who have survived, have lived this far, we know each other. We knew each other by name.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was tough.
But you had no such problem. You got a job and stuff.
And my luck was the fact that I was very bilingual. Okay. After 2 years in the university, I finished my degree and then got a job as a teaching assistant with an office. Yeah. So that idea of, the fact that I was able to work and then go to school at the same time and work was a blessing, I can say. That is what helped me to adjust.
Let's talk about, because when I came, I met some of you guys there. The likes of yourself.
Atobolo Kamara.
Dr. Atobolo Kamara. I met Pa Bigasteth. I met Mrs.
Farella,
and I met the George Foyers. I met Auntie Adeline. I met Debbie, and so then I met something. I met was that there was this organization. It was not this island organization. It has to do with African
Society for the Canadians of West African origin. Society for the Canadians of West African origin.
That's what I mean.
Because we included the Ivorians.
Okay.
And because I was fluently bilingual, so it was easy for them to come in on board and be with us. But to be very frank, I also have to say, when I came, the people who were here were the Bickersteds, Dr. Bickersted, Dr. Boro Kamara, George Foyo and his wife and his family. They happened to be the first refugees who came. Okay. They had been here less than a year or so when you came.
Okay.
So, they were relatively new. And, of course, when we had a conference in Halifax on refugee status,
I'm coming to that.
He came with me.
To that.
Yes.
So then I think at some point Atobolo Kamara collaborated, and he was somebody who likes culture. Then he went to get this Waju thing.
He formed a dance group,
Waju,
and he was wonderful. He was playing drums. It's incredible. It was really, it made us proud. He was working for the department for Alberta government. Yes. I can't remember which.
I think it was.
He was a chemist. Yes, he was a chemist.
Yes, I knew. I will tell you people who are listening that fortunately I was here at the time, and he was a very, very jovial person.
He's a very
He was
outgoing,
very humorous. So he will tell me, that Creole boy, why you read the Creole? You say, because some then Creole in there. Don't forget what then Creole then. John Foyabola, you read that Creole boy, the leg of the Creole. He was a very, he was a very humorous and humble man. This is our life's narratives, powered by Medan's production. We bring the stories and experiences of everyday people, including the celebrities. Now we're coming to switch to a very, very big area. Mr. Marah, you guys were here when the war started. The war started and it escalated. How were you able to galvanize yourselves to make the government of Canada, and I think other communities, joined you guys for you to actualize that something bad was happening in West Africa, be it Sierra Leone, be in Liberia, and Liberia put together? How were you able to galvanize?
We did not get Liberia involved.
Oh, okay.
But when we started,
Yeah.
I happened to be, I would say, I was fortunate at that time. I was already self-employed.
Okay.
So because I was self-employed, I ran my own school.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege.
Yeah.
And Mr. Abdul Kamara, who was the vice president, I was president.
Yes.
He told me, since he had lived in Winnipeg, that the Sierra Leoneans who were living in Winnipeg, somebody borrowed them or lent them money. They sort of used that part of that money to get a piece of paper called the sponsorship agreement holders. So he asked me if I could help. That time my house was in Beaumont. I was driving to town every day from Beaumont. And I said, sure, no problem. I did that. And then, and it happened by some coincidence that a member of the, the immigration department, the head of the immigration department, not the minister, the civil servant at the head of the immigration then, came to Edmonton, and somebody told us about that. So I spent one night preparing a speech. And it also happened that somebody sent very gruesome pictures. I wouldn't want to see those things in my life again.
Too graphic.
They were so bad, so bad. But I took those pictures, and when I was delivering my speech, I was crying.
What was that? At Ottawa?
Because it was bad.
And when this in Ottawa?
Pardon? No, in Edmonton,
okay,
at the Westin Hotel.
Okay.
And when the gentleman and his entourage saw those pictures, they told me, come to Ottawa this week. So I went straight to Ottawa with I didn't go with them, but Abdul and myself, we went to Ottawa. And that's how we started the immigration program. Okay. And so we got, and then eventually we applied for the sponsorship agreement holders. I made a plan as president with all my colleagues then, who were so few. We made a plan. We had the initial money I put in. I don't want to say how much I put back. Yeah. And then we did a plan to raise up to $20,000. So we raised some money, and then we got the sponsorship agreement holders, which allowed us to bring our families as Sierra Leoneans. Now, prior to that, we were asking churches to help us bring families. So with the sponsorship agreement holders, we had our own means of directly sponsoring refugees. And that's how we have a lot of people now. You know, I mean, you see those of us who were here, my family, Abdul, Mr. Safa and his family, Yebu Bangura, Adeline, and all the other people. They had their own, they sponsored their family members through that.
Let me ask, I think I should have asked this before. From that West African origin, how did we come about the Sierra Leone Association? I think it was the Sierra Leone Society.
It was Sierra Leone. It was called SLAFCA. I can remember the acronym, but Sierra Leone Alberta Friendship and Canada Association.
Yes.
So we call it SLAFCA.
Okay.
So we changed when the collaboration between us and the Ivorians and the other people didn't work well.
Yes.
We decided to sort of form SLAFCA.
Okay.
And that's where I think it was from SLAFCA that I became president. Okay. And then, of course, we took things took root from there.
So who was the first president?
It was Atobolo.
Was it Atobolo? Because I met him as president when I came in 2001.
Atobolo was the president of our community.
Una, we did listen, Sierra Leoneans, we did listen well, that Mr. Marah and the other Sierra Leoneans who came here very early, they were not much. Were you guys like 12 or 20?
Well, less than 20, because if I count Dr. Bickerset with Farella, and then Dr. Atto Porter, Dr. Bolo Kamara, and Adeline. At that time, I didn't know Adeline because her husband is a Ghanaian.
Oh, yes.
So I didn't know them.
Dr. Kofi.
Yeah, Kofi. And then
Aqua.
I can't remember the other people.
Yeah.
We're very few. We're less than 10 couples.
So now them people here, now they make this association, the Sierra Leone Association.
Of course, with Abdul Kamara,
yes.
He was very instrumental because he had experience with people in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And he was the one who was giving me ideas about things that were happening in Winnipeg. And so we just got, ourselves together and got the sponsorship agreement holders. But we also, after that, we sort of engineered to get the people from Vancouver, Toronto, even those in Manitoba, and then we all went to to Halifax, where we got we had a meeting. It was a 10-day conference, and I was privileged then because I had my school. I just gave everything to my teachers were teaching, and there was a very responsible administrative assistant that took over.
So
what I was saying.
Whose time you succeed? Really succeed? When did you succeed for the government to say yes, you can bring your people?
1991.
1991.
Nine we able to do that one day.
Okay.
Because that time day.
Yes.
Then we able to do that day. Even before we get the sponsorship agreement holder, my own church, because me always very active.
Yes.
I've been ordaining at this parish.
Yes.
Then the people I've been getting one very good friend, lawyer friend, very smart human being.
Okay.
In fact, that man, I've been genius. He was so smart. And in Grand Peking today, now the people don't know high school self now. The man been so smart. They speak 5 languages.
Wow.
Then he became my friend. Now they bring newspaper clips to me. Augustine, your country is at war. Can we do something for you? And I said, I have a big family. I don't know whether. He said, let's go. And he recruited me to the choir. One day we left Beaumont. We came to church.
Yeah.
And then we sat behind them. We didn't know who they were. But because I love singing, and by some, fortune, I can say, all the songs that were sung on that day were songs I sang in Cabala at the Roman Catholic.
Way back in
Cabala. So I was actually crying when I was singing. So at the end of the service, he turned around and said, you have a beautiful voice. I said, oh, really? He said, can you join our choir? I said, no, I don't know how to read music. He said, no, you don't need to learn how to read music. Say you have the best instrument. So we became very good friends, and he helped us a lot. He helped my family. And then after that, the church helped bring the 416 members of my family.
Let's clear it here. Let me make it clear now. There are people saying, were the families who came, were they chosen, or it just happened that...
okay. And I'm glad you're asking that.
This has been a topic which I want to say to you, because I want
you're asking that question. For example, let people know this can be proven on record. They can go and look at the newspapers, because even when my family came on the 15th of June, 2001, on the 15th of June, we made the news, the newspapers, the television stations, My church, Assumption Parish in Edmonton, sponsored 16 members of my family. Because there were rumors, people who were spreading rumors that I used my position. I didn't use my position. What I don't want to talk about here is to boast of how much money I took of my own money to start the sponsorship agreement holder. I don't want to talk about that, because all I can say is I'm just thankful that God put me in that position where I was self-employed. I was no longer teaching for the school board. I ran my own school. I had over 11 staff. working for me, and I wasn't teaching. I was just doing the administration.
Yeah.
So, but and then after we got the sponsorship agreement holders, then we now allowed people to suggest names to the association for them to bring their families, and they had to sign an agreement that when their family comes, they would feed their families.
Yeah.
And if they reneged on their responsibility, then the association will be held responsible because we were the ones who sponsored. The association sponsored.
You made an undertaking at that time.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had an undertaking. We wrote an agreement with the government that we would be the ones responsible.
Yeah.
Instead of, say, the government or the churches. So a lot of people who came under the association.
Yeah.
And I can say it was a blessing for everybody.
Could you do me this favor to explain this that you've just said down in Creole
Creole.
for those people to listen with Mr. Marah say? There are some people who go, oh, never, they just bring Boku this and that. For the records, Mr. Marah has been very. I've had this too because even George Farrow told me about something like this. I heard about. So you are on the right path that the churches brought some people here. So Mr. Marah, they tell you now, please do you listen and listen well.
Okay, before we get with sponsorship agreement holder, that is the Sierra Leone Association of Alberta, okay, which was called SLAFCA, Sierra Leone Association of Alberta and Canada Friendship Association. Some churches sponsored people.
Creole.
Now, some church they sponsor people them.
Yes.
So, but me own family, the first 16 people, now my own church sponsor them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then after that one day, we don't get with sponsorship agreement holder. Okay. Even part of my family now, Mr. Abdul Kamara in family them, Mrs. Adeline Aqua in families,
Yes.
and who are they again? Yebu Bangura them family. We got other people.
Dr. Safa.
Dr. Safa in family.
Yeah.
All now through the association now. Okay, so and there was no monopoly actually.
Okay.
I still had some people who then come under the association now. Okay, because before you sponsor people, what thing be happen? Because the church sponsors 16 members of my family, and me with my wife, when they make good money, my wife been the teacher, they make over 70,000. I was self-employed. Yes. I don't know how much I've been making, not important. But anyway, then with the 16 people there, even if they make $15,000, we add all together, all the sponsor, would they send the total amount to the government because the size of the city, now they determine how much money you forget for sponsor 2 people. If you want for sponsor beaucoup people them, if you live in a Camrose, you will get the opportunity for them because the cost of living in a Camrose is lower. Or if you live in a Grand Prairie, the cost of living lower. But if you did in Edmonton, if now you no more the work, you have not the work, now no able sponsor 3 people.
Yes.
So now then they happen. So then they I want for make that they clear say will not use people them now people that use the facilities so will be don't create.
Yeah.
Okay. So but of course we not can talk about anything and they but if I make people they understand.
Yeah, just to clear the
Yeah.
Mr. Augustine Marah, I met you here when I came 2001. I came to cover the games. I didn't come as a refugee. No disrespect to those who came as refugees. And I met you only in a school. Your wife was there. And I think Mr. Kidike was there as a helping hand.
Yes.
But then you have teachers.
Yes.
My hotel then, I was staying at this hotel down at, why would I forget the name of the hotel now? I used to be boastful about that
The
hotel.
105 Street?
Yes.
105 Street, I can't remember
yes,
the
the
name.
hotel. I would walk from my hotel and Mr. Marah's school was right at...
On Jasper and 105 Street.
Just the high rising.
Yes, it was in the 7th floor.
Yes.
The whole floor I could.
Yes.
By the whole
so
floor.
I met
all over
Mr.
now.
Marah as the owner, principal. You are the principal.
Yes,
right?
I was the principal
of
and owner.
that school. So how did you manage to do that as somebody who just as an
after
immigrant?
teaching for some time with the public school and the Catholic school,
Yeah.
now I happen to have had experience as a teacher back in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I didn't, as I said, I was going to study law, but when I didn't get into law school, I applied for graduate school and I got the opportunity. So when I finished my master's, I went to teach I started teaching at the U of A before I got a job teaching in the public school and Catholic school. Now, the problem was getting a full-time contract, okay? And I'm not being racist here, but getting the job at that time, it was very difficult, okay? Even though I was speaking French fluently, in fact, there was a kind of hierarchy. The school boards will employ the French from France first, then they will employ the people from Quebec, and then they will think about the rest of us. So getting a full-time contract was very hard.
Okay.
So I decided, I have always been entrepreneurial. Okay. I started making potato chips in elementary school and sell them, and then my auntie would change that, to something else and made some alcohol and then sell and then give me the money. So I started doing those things when I was a young person.
Okay.
So I decided to open a company. I called it Human Resources Institute. Okay, it was a long name. Diaspora Communications and Human Resources Institute. Yeah. So when I went to the Minister of Education, I was very fortunate. I met an old man. He was in his last year. Believe it or not, that helped me a lot.
Okay.
So when he saw the name of my company, he said, Augustine, this is a mouthful. Nobody will know it's a school. How can I call Diaspora Communications and Human Resources Institute Education? He said, no, call it Diaspora Continuing Education, period.
Wow.
And so that became my school.
Okay.
So and then I opened my school.
Okay.
And because it was new, I decided to employ teachers. Okay. But what helped me the most was I was teaching ESL, English as a Second Language.
Yes.
And then, because I'm very friendly, I got people who recommended some part-time students who were going to full-time in the public schools.
Wow.
So I had one Chinese student who brought me 5 students from his school. So one day, this boy came to school with big ears in the winter. So I told all the students, and they were all Asians. I told them, I said, look, please, let us don't have classes today. I called my doctor. Mm-hmm. I said, I have a foreign student. He has no insurance. Can I bring him so he can prescribe medication for him?
Wow.
And then after that, the following week, the boy said, Mr. Marah, can I come and live with you? I said, okay. I said, I'm going to tell my boss, that my wife. I said, tomorrow I'll give you an answer. And then, but he did not understand what I said.
Okay.
When he went home, he called his dad. He said, I'm going to live with my teacher, with my new teacher. Okay. So when I came the following day, I said, Dennis, my wife said, it's okay. I said, you can go tell your dad now. He said, I already told him yesterday.
Okay.
So that helped me, that contact with that one student. He brought me Japanese students, Korean students, and so they were attending full-time in Harianli and other schools. So the following year, they all came to my school full-time. So the money I got from the international students, I put a security bond of over $50,000. And then the lady who was Minister of Education, she said, Augustine, you are doing a good job. You are employing people and you're helping people. So that is good. So you can take twice the amount of students you can take. Mm-hmm. So if I put 100,000, I will get tuition from Alberta government, not directly to me, for the student, only Canadians and landed immigrants. The foreign students paid 10,000 to me or to the school, but the Canadian student will pay 2,500 per subject. If you took 5 subjects, multiply 2,000 by 5. So that's how I made some money. So,
folks, this is our life's narratives, powered by Medan Productions. You see, as we rightly put it, this is the stories and experiences of everyday people, including Mr. Marah. And now he's said lots of things with people never knew. Fortunately for me, I met him in the school, and then the hotel was Coast Edmonton Plaza.
Yes, it's very close. Coast Edmonton Plaza. Yes, it's very close. Yeah.
That's where I stayed when I came for the games. I was one of the few journalists who came, who lived there. So I lived there until the games finished. And you were one of the people. Mr. Marah was one of the few Sierra Leoneans I knew. I knew nobody here. I met you, yourself, and then later I met the Foyos. Because in actual fact, it was few Liberians who went to visit the Liberian president of the association, and then I met with them. It was Satara, Dio and George. They told me that there are Sierra Leonean girls. But then I knew nobody here. So this is how our stories have been told. So, Mr. Marah, what happened to the school?
Well, when you get divorced, things will go south.
Okay.
If things don't work up here,
All right.
nothing else will work. So that is one of my biggest mistakes in my life.
Okay.
But since our separation was not based on infidelity or anything like that, I was able to maintain friendship with my wife or ex-wife.
Okay.
So we raised the children together.
Okay.
She was working full-time as a teacher. I was a self-employed person. Yeah. So in spite of the fact that I was self-employed, or because I was self-employed, my salary wasn't guaranteed, but she had a guaranteed salary. So we agreed, without signing any papers, that she would have custody of the children when, and every time, birthdays, festivities, Christmas, we just continued as if we were still married.
So you've been here longer, Mr. Marah. Mm-hmm. What are some of your observations? Like, it could be way of life here in Edmonton, apart from Sierra Leone included, but there are lots of other, like when I was speaking to Dr. Joshua, who's Joshua, she laid emphasis on how about generational wealth. She spoke about housing, how to raise, so something of this, that's what I think we should also lay stress on that.
Yes, one of the things I would advise all Africans living abroad who have chosen to study, to live and work either in Canada, United States, anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. Now, we have an opportunity as Africans. We live in areas or in countries where the infrastructure has been laid. Everything works according to the law. Mm-hmm. So if we have those opportunities, I'm advising us to take advantage of those opportunities. We can show the people in our countries back home, whether it is Ghana, South Africa, anywhere, that we live in a country where the laws have been laid, and if we follow the laws, we can do as well as other people. But one of the first things we should do is to have open minds. I'll quote something before I talk about, especially mention what Dr. Joshua was talking about when she spoke of generational wealth. You see, there are many opportunities that come our way, okay? And there's somebody who said, the rich get richer, while the poor thinks everything is a scam. Yeah. Every opportunity that comes, the poor man thinks it's a scam. Don't look at every opportunity as a scam. Try and verify. Yeah. You can actually verify what is a scam. Yes, we have been fooled by some people, but believe it or not, when Dr. Rose Joshua spoke about generational wealth, I believe in that. And this is why we should let our children learn the basics of financing, okay? How to make a budget, okay? Learn about the taxation system. Mm-hmm. I wrote a message. I wish I could, if I didn't turn my phone off, I would go straight to my son, who is a 16-year-old. I sent him 7 items. I said, this is what you should learn. You should start thinking about these things, making a business plan. And then he told me yesterday, oh, Dad, I'm going for an interview. I said, did you do your resume? That's the first thing. He said, yes, I did. So in general, I am telling people, especially, Africans, let us forget thinking that other people are better than us. If you have the opportunity, you live overseas, you already have the opportunity to bring your children up and let them know that education is important, but that education doesn't just depend going to school. You can teach yourself things. You can learn things on your own. In fact, the things you learn on your own are better than the ones you learn in school, because in school, some people say, oh, I'm doing this, but I will never apply it. But if you learn things on your own, who are entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. They are people who try to cater to, they find out what is missing out in the public there. What service has not been rendered. Maybe he has received a poor service. He says, you know what, I can do better. And then you go into business. So my advice would be, let us open our minds, but let us focus on learning, on studying, and letting our children know that education is important. Even if it is not spoken, believe it or not, people are competing against each other. And as I have said, if you look at the countries, the Chinese and the Russians and the Americans are competing who can produce the best ammunitions, okay, through technology. So why don't we think like that? It is not another person who will come and tell us do this. God loves all of us. God loves us all. He has already given us the intelligence, the capabilities, and we have the opportunities to use those things while we're here. All you need to do is to follow the law, obey the law, and do things according to the law. And you can get what you want. Believe it or not. So we have the opportunities. Let us make maximum use of those privileges we have. Because when we go back home, some people say, if you don't be with them, they will eat you alive. And that could be true, and that may be true, and that is true. Yeah. But you're here, so why don't you do what other people do to succeed? Okay? Now, I want you to know, especially the young people, all of you are gifted. Believe it or not. One of the things I would let every young person know is that your mind has an infinite capacity to solve problems, to do anything in the world. If you put your mind into anything, you can do it. But don't expect that by cheating you will learn. Okay? No, you will not. You are cheating yourself. So please, work hard, follow the law, but you determine what you want. In fact, I would say, when you wake up every day, tell yourself, I'm able, I'm capable, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, I'm smart enough, I can be anything, especially young people. You can be anything. You can be anything you want to be. Only you determine how high you can jump.
I spoke in this very photo to a young man, a very young man, a 14-year-old, Sierra Leone boy, who created an impact in his school for the very first time. He did something that was never done in the school, and he had to introduce a situation which has to do with Black history, right? Benyu is the boy, your nephew.
My nephew.
Benyu, Mansari.
Benyu, no, Marah.
Marah. And he said he did it by himself. And that thing went a long way because they never knew something like that. So these are the things we're talking about. Now they will be requesting for that particular thing he did that created so much impact. People will be requesting that particular situation every February. So, in other words, he has created that impact that, yes, just one person, just to buttress what you're saying, just one 14-year-old boy from Sierra Leone has done something big. And next year, trust me, the school will be looking forward to that. So these are all the pointers.
Yes. So I think I would just repeat the fact that we need to work hard.
Yeah.
And let us always look at what other people are doing better than us and try to emulate them.
Yeah.
But don't go the other way.
Yeah. To pull them
out
down.
of greed, to say I'm going to be wealthy, and as long as my child is wealthy, I'm okay. Think about the other people and think about your country. Now, for those people who come from Sierra Leone, I say, think of your country and be proud and make it proud. But as Africans in general, look, Black history is important, and we all know that the origin of mankind is in Africa.
Yeah.
So what better information could we have to say that the origin of mankind is in Africa? So even though we have been colonized, now we know the truth. So why don't we work on that? Build on what has been revealed to us about our history, about our ancestors. Let us work hard to build our continent, not only in Africa, but while we are living abroad. We can make names. Look, if you look at the United States, a lot of our brothers and sisters have suffered so much. They have undergone and they are still undergoing racism. But quite a few of them come up and then excel. And then they will hold you in high esteem when you excel in every field. Look at the kid who read that poem at Joe Biden's
inauguration.
Yes, that girl. My God, I said, Jesus. You know, how could we have kids like that? Why don't we do the same thing? When some of us were little in elementary school, we used to compete. We used to cram certain things, poetry or poems, speeches of other people. Yeah. Why don't the kids start doing that all over the continent?
Yeah.
You know, not just in Sierra Leone. We can do that. And I would encourage young people in the secondary schools, in the universities, to begin to form alliances, to do positive things for the continent. I'm really going to suggest that. If they can do something, come together, form an organization. Don't just think about your country. You see, if we build the bridges in our hearts, eventually we can build those bridges in real life.
So true. Thank you so much, Mr. Marah. So let's talk about you being president of the Sierra Leone Association. You were president of the Sierra Leone Association. How was it like to bring Sierra Leoneans together? Let's talk about that.
You know, it was very, very easy, I can tell you. I think it is also the level of education of the people I was dealing with. Most of the time, in fact, they were all older than me. I was young. I was the youngest. I was younger than them. Abdul was close in age with me. I don't know whether he's older than me. Up to this day, I don't know who is older than who.
Yeah.
But they were all older than me. Pat Bickerset, Atobolo Kamara, Michael Porter, who else? Those are the handful of people I knew who were older than me that were Sierra Leoneans. So it was easy to get along with them, you know. And of course, they would advise me or guide me, you know. So that was very easy. Now we have a lot of issues. I think the diversity, the number of people, it is much more difficult to handle people. But, you know, it was okay as far as I'm concerned. And we had a focus, you know. So every president that comes sort of has an agenda to achieve. For us, it was bringing people. So we focused on that. Okay. And that was our duty. Yeah. We did help people when they didn't have jobs. Some of us did some things outside ordinary situations. And we helped as much as we could.
So what could you say about the situation as of now?
I think there's a lot of distraction. I can say, to be very honest, I believe Dr. Conte is very focused.
Okay.
And one thing that I know, you can have similar characters or personalities with other people without knowing it.
Yeah.
You see, if you are focused on goals and you behave you want to sort of make sure that you reach your goals, you will not be very flexible. So, because to me, he has sort of created value, okay? Because in leadership, the first thing, the most important thing is service. The two most important qualities of a leader is to serve and create value for the people you lead. And I think he has. Now, he cannot be a perfect human being. There is no perfect human being. And some people don't sit well with his decisions. But I cannot speak on his behalf, but I can speak on his record.
Okay.
And the fact that he decided, I think one of the 14 points he made was to have a community. Yeah. And let me make it abundantly clear to people that that was my dream. Our community has a lot of hiccups now. Yeah. And I don't think we can put the blame on the leader all alone. Because we are the people who make the community, not one person. Okay, so yes, there are problems, but I cannot blame the leader. As a matter of fact, for people who do not know what it means to be a leader, do you know the number of hours, the amount of money you spend as a leader without counting every penny? Okay? When you should be devoting your time to your family or to your work, you spend it on the community. It is a lot of sacrifice. And I will make it also abundantly clear, coming to dance one night or once a week or twice a week doesn't make you a community activist or active person. No. If you come to dance and then all of a sudden you want to make the decisions on behalf of the leaders or those people who are in power, I I would beg to differ
Okay.
that you do not make the leader. It is the leader who spends his time and money to lead the community, because it's a lot of sacrifice. We have to know that. And if you don't have the time, Dr. Conte happens to be a man who is a teacher in university.
Yeah.
So his life is doing research, or so he can do research about what is happening, write programs. If you are not in a position to be able to do that, I don't know whether you should run to be a president. I'm not making any qualities or giving any criteria for people to run for president. I'm just saying that you have to know you get that you have the time to sit at night, write applications, hold meetings, either every day or every other day, not every day, but every week.
Yes.
Those are the things that I think. And one thing that I want to make clear also, some of us have spent money on the association. And I have heard and seen stories of Canadians who made mistakes in their youth.
Yeah.
I will not name names, but I know of a man who was a young policeman. He rose to the rank of a very high police officer. He became a governor general, a lieutenant governor of the province. And then somebody proved that he did something when he was a young man. So my advice here is, if you know you cannot handle certain things, okay? You see, your character as an individual stays with you. But when you hold power, or you have power, everything is amplified.
Yes.
So if you do something wrong, and it is your habit to do that, believe it or not, don't get into leadership where you may make a mistake and do something that somebody will be accountable.
They'll dig into it.
They will dig into it.
Okay.
So that is an advice I'm giving people. So, and I don't have anybody in mind. I'm just saying that for some of us, well, I grew up Catholic, afraid that I would take sin if I do anything bad. So, and I'm happy about that.
Our life's narratives, powered by Medan Productions. The stories and experiences of everyday people. As we have a very powerful man sitting with us who's telling us stuff which we never knew. Mr. Marah, you jumped into politics. You ran for mayor. How was it like, and would you want to do it again?
I would definitely want to do it, but I don't know whether I will. Instead, I'm going to go back into business. I like my independence, and I've been here for 42 years. When I was working, I employed myself longer than I was employed in the schools or by the university. So being in business is a very good thing. And this is where I will come back and mention a little bit about community. Being in business and being in politics are like, what are the twin functions of a businessman and a leader? The first thing is to serve your clients.
Yeah.
And as a leader, you serve the people you lead. Okay? The second thing is you create value, or you add value for the people you lead. And that is what I can say Dr. Conte has done. He has created the value for us and for anybody coming to add on what he's doing. You see? So yeah, I may get into politics here, but not in Sierra Leone. So don't go there.
We're having problems in Sierra Leone now. Maybe with your experiences and people who are listening now to this podcast, this Lives Narratives podcast, will think with all that we've had, and it's been powered by Medan Production, with all that we've had from our learned friend here, our principal, our educationist, and he is a politician now. So we're having problems in Sierra Leone in one way or the other. One would want to ask, Mr. Marah, you want to go give some, what I call it, the political spectrum over there?
If me want to do something for my country now, I would rather ask people them like-minded ideas within their education. Let us write something. What do we need for do for let we change we country? Who would change them from the picking them?
Yeah.
And we just forget people that will implement them thing. So in 12 years, If them picking they then start grade 1 or kindergarten, 12 years later, they behave civilly. Then they treat each other with respect. Then they work hard. Now, one thing they bring anything positive about other people them. Una don't see Chinese picking there. Then they build things there, houses, elementary school. Then they build.
Yeah.
Now, how will they go compete with them people then they? And they will not think say we not smart. Now they get sense. No, God give you all the sense like them. But the structure they don't create, then they encourage them picking them for build. So from where they're small. Let we think of down there. Do ya? Now down there me go do, but for say they go up and politics in a salon. I know they do more, but I might run back for politics in Canada.
Okay.
I might.
Okay.
But I'm more inclined to go into business than becoming a politician.
We're about to round up, but your two questions I want to ask here. You are an educationist. You are so in-depth into it. But we see some lapses in some of our kids, more the kids. So what would you have to say to the children, the youth, in terms of to take their education seriously?
Well, I don't know whether I should say this.
And mind you, the association is doing everything.
Yeah, the association is, Dr. Conte has a tutoring program.
Yeah.
And the tutoring program was one of the best programs.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I believe that I will do something that has to do with education.
Yeah.
But I go do some things then, but not for picking them, make them know.
Yeah.
Because what me they do, I interview people that who are no say, then go bring special skills where they picking them go learn, or picking them all go learn, and then they me they do. Yeah. Because me, I focus on writing, I like motivational speaking, I like writing.
Okay.
And I want to put all my things in together, my translation, well, I like for sing also, but I don't know how I will put them. Bring and kind by my business anyway. But the most important thing is to be, on a serious note. I want to find a way for encourage you picking them, make them know say, then get sense like then Chinese then or like then Russian or then American man there. Now we no more get for make we picking them know say, then get that sense there, and some of them know.
That's right.
They know down there. But now we the parents get for guide them. Now we get for guide them, tell them say they're able. See, if I been get the chance now, I go like for pass that message to the country, but for make we leader them, they not bring things in or they destroy we all. Me, I don't know how much a man go bring something, if they sell something, or say in or in family go make good money, but the rest of the country is going to be destroyed.
We're going to round up with that.
Why? We the people them, and then the politicians. But not just the politicians, even the voters. If you, the voter, not put somebody up, we'll go there.
That's right.
But let we forget, let we not think, say, well, because me able make money, I go bring something, I go sell, I make boku money. Then you think, say, now you picking, they protect. So one day, that picking, they could be open, it could be vulnerable to the what's in the other people and they suffer. So yeah. Me, I believe, say, we get for do something.
Okay. Medan Production is meant to do all of this we're doing now. Because many a time our stories are not being told. Many people don't know about it. So that's why this program was initiated, this podcast, video podcast, for people to know that our own lives could be told in the way it should be. Now we shall be rounding up with a very thorny issue. It has to do with, already watch me. You all watching us. We're about to round up now. But this has to do with all of us. It doesn't matter APC, SLPP, president, ministers. Our country, Sierra Leone, has a very big problem. Drugs. The country is infested with drugs. Dangerous ones at that. Kush and all the other ones. And these are eating into the fabric of the youth.
Of the society.
Youth and the society. Big time. We see, I don't know if you've seen this, Mr. Marah, you see videos of boys and girls walking like zombies. You know, we see military men with armed men with guns and whatever it is.
Slouching.
They're slouching, going on the chair. What if something happens? The next thing you know, pop, they shoot and kill people. And yet, some of the authorities knew who those people are who are bringing the dangerous drugs into the country, and they're cherry picking when they want to punish. So what I say now, as somebody who's left, though you've left the country for a long time, but you are very highly educated, and but a concerned somebody. So what will be your advice, Mr. Marah, to the government, be it the president, be it the vice president, the ministers, the opposition, parliamentarians, and all Sierra Leoneans? What do we do to cut down on this menace? You go to we say, I don't know if you saw a video. People were buried, mass burial. And some of them, one or two of them.
One man raised his hand,
yes,
and then the other person
wasn't
stepped
dead.
on that
They
hand.
stepped on it. This is terrible. So, to an extent, these boys go to desecrate the graveside using the bones of the dead. For what? What is this? So, Mr. Marah, please, what will you advise to the government officials, the government, the opposition, all of them? Some of them sit in parliament, they clap, they laugh over these things. But this is very serious. So, as somebody who has lived a life worth living, you are highly educated, motivational speaker, what do you have to say? Your
My
advice.
suggestion should be, if somebody is joining politics, they should ask themselves, is my communication uplifting? Okay? Is it hope building? Is it inspirational? Because as a leader, we should be the ones to lead for the better. Okay?
Lead
or for
by
the
example.
betterment of tomorrow.
Yeah, leading by example.
So what I'm going to say, I'm not a specialist of anything. Neither, I mean, I did political science, but I'm not a specialist. I'm just speaking as an ordinary Sierra Leonean, that I would advise our politicians to change their ways. Instead of thinking about making a lot of money from drugs, if I had the power, or anybody who comes to power, because I won't go to become a politician, I would advise those people, when they come to power, let them destroy all the farms of, whether it is Jamba or Kush or anything. Destroy anything that is. Think of the example I mentioned earlier on. The fact that Chinese kids are learning things as little kids in elementary school. If we do that for our children, this is who they will become. But if we're doing the opposite, like, we will go down. Sierra Leone was one time known to be the Athens of West Africa, of Africa. Now we are losing ground.
Seriously.
Now there used to be a time, the first prime ministers of Africa, a lot of them, the Kwame Nkrumah, some people, they came to Furabe College. They went to school there. I mean, the leaders of Milton Obote from Uganda. These people came to Freetown, to Furabe College.
By that time, Furabe College was equated to Durham University in England.
So, why don't our leaders think of what our first leaders were thinking of? You see, if I may compare myself as one of the first presidents in our community, look at what Milton Magai did. Sir Milton Magai, he fought for independence. Of course, he was a rival with Sheikh Stephen, but they all worked together. But for come back to the topic, me had the advice, una do ya, let una think what we picking there. And let you know, think, say, if you safeguard your picking, there are other people, then they go take drugs, then go die. Believe it or not, who say you picking, they go hide? Who's holy, they go hide?
No.
Who you can't hide, then go know who say you picking there. So let us remember, do you they beg una all? Whether a politician, or they do this, or they do that one day. I don't say all politicians them bad.
No.
A lot of people then are good politicians. I don't meet good people. Let they think, say, the world they compete today, which country get the highest technology?
Exactly.
Look, then people in the east and at the west, then they think about creating the Wouldn't they create the best robot there now for do things there? How will they go do the things there? What would they make? Would they put we down more and more and more and more? I one day we think say we equal to other human being there, and by we actions we show say we equal to them. We mortal man who for work together, as brothers and sisters instead of enemies. And then we think about the picking them more. What it make me say I know they go? Well, I will go na salon, I will go visit.
Yeah.
But if me picking them go there, I don't think they go like because now them born.
Yeah.
And they not go able to live na salon.
Yeah.
But if we country be in town like I don't know whose country person go choose now, like Rwanda.
Yeah.
You go be proud for say they go live na Rwanda.
I work
a lot of Rwandese they don't go
they're
back in their country.
Oh yeah, they're going.
They will try for rebuild with country. Now me your advice that day. So I they tell you thank you for listening.
I want to thank you very much, Mr. Augustine Marah. This has been our life's narrative, powered by the one and only Medan Productions. And my producer, all smiling, made this thing possible, Mrs. Annie Jallo. And of course, our tantalizing director has been Mami Jallo. This is your host, Chairman Daniel Wilfield, saying, together with Mr. Marah, na tata.
Thank you for listening.